This coverage of the British Historic Rally Championship is brought to you by Autosessive.com, Skipton Ford, the Tothill Porsche Challenge, Sherwood Engines, XS Racing and West Wales Rally Spares. Hello and welcome to Antrim for the start of the ToddsLeap.com Ulster Historic Rally. The 2010 Category 3 winner was Conor Corkle, and it was Conor and co-driver Mark Perriman who had the honour of leading the cars away from the start in Antrim Town Centre and onto the first stage, Knockboy. This first test was generally dry, but a little bit moist and slippery in places. And it was a good start from Conor as he finished it in third place, just a few seconds off the fastest time. But as you can see from the camera lens, there was just a hint of rain about. Next along were Will Onions and Dave Williams. And as Will makes his way through the first stage, you can see just how bumpy these roads are. But that didn't have any bearing on what happened next.
Right 2 max over 300. Then 40. Left 2 max long.
I'm quite pleased because Dave's had some good accents. He says it's the best one he's had. So
really?
yeah,
So you impressed him on this event then?
Yeah, impressed him on this.
Category 2 winners in 2010, David Stokes and Guy Weaver, were next on the scene, just 1 minute behind.
Tightens, stay out into bumpy 3 right. 40. Push 1 left long, don't cut. That's Will. Push 1
But they were still quickest on the stage, probably because no one had had the chance to slow them down. Another early retirement were the very unlucky Belgian crew of Stefan Stoof and Joris Arad, who lost a front wheel when the stub axle broke after a small jump later on in the stage. And so their second rally on the trot ended early, with another wasted journey from Belgium. Into second place in Category 2 then came Rupert Lomax and David Alcock, the pair desperate to get the better of Stokes and Weaver on at least one event this year. And third were Andrew Siddle and Carl Williamson, this duo's unobtrusively impressive season continuing, as they once again led Class C3. And next along were Keith McIver and David Burns, the Porsche already showing signs of a little early event exuberance, although a misfire was hampering their progress as well. And then slightly disappointed perhaps were Chris Brown and Liz Jordan, who were dropping almost 30 seconds a stage to the flying Stokes. Moving back to Category 3, and the rally had a somewhat surprising leader in Thomas Davis, who along with namesake Uric had eased out a 3.2 second lead after the first 3 stages. Thomas had been going well in the 2010 event until he crashed out, so there was no pressure on him here then. In second were Rob Smith and Sean O'Gorman, making a welcome return in their Vauxhall Chevette. This car actually looked and sounded quicker than it had previously, and 2 stage wins in the first 3 proved this to be the case. And it was only a cautious start on stage 1, and probably the shock of seeing his friend Will Onion's car wrecked at the side of the road, that kept them out of the lead. Along next were Conor Corkle and Mark Perriman, but even they were only 5 seconds off the lead, proving what a close rally this already was. And running fourth were Roger Kilty and Lynette Banks, with a very fast and consistent run so far. But already cursing his luck was Alan Walker, who having earned 2 top 3 stage times on Glendon and Torr Head, and buggered it all up with a jump start at Glendon, which cost him and co-driver Jez Rogers a minute in road penalties. In Category 1, it was Ulsterman Desi Nutt who was leading, having come back to form with a vengeance.
And Kink, square right over crest, 2 left. 1 right and left into danger. Danger. 3 left over jump narrows.
None of the other Category 1 competitors could match the Flying Ulsterman, but Championship leader Ricky Profit was certainly driving flamboyantly in his efforts to do so. And just a few seconds behind Profit was Derek Boyd, with daughter Roisin adding her own personality to the co-driver's duties.
Caution, 1 right over crest jump, 40, 2 right over bump bridge and 4 left over bump. Okay, settle down. 80, crest 60, turn tight hairpin right at sign.
The 3 evening stages, which were a repeat of the afternoon stages, saw the first proper wet weather of the event. And with the crews not having wet tyres, but just slightly softer dry tyres to use, it was understandable that the pace dropped a little. But not a massive amount, as on average the front runners were only about 10 seconds slower than they had been on the first run. And in Category 3, it was Corkle who had 2 out of 3 stage wins here. But a bad time on the first of the 3 meant that he actually dropped time to Davis over the evening loop, with Roger Kilty and the net banks still nicely placed in 4th. In Category 2, Stokes and Weaver continued their dominance, with fastest times on all of the stages, meaning that it was 6 out of 6 for the rally so far. But with McIver's misfire sorted, he was just behind Stokes on stage times and would leap into 2nd in the category, ahead of the unregistered Mark Falvey and then Rupert Lomax. With Andrew Siddle and Cal Williamson just behind them. And Chris Brown and Liz Jordan just behind them, improving their pace steadily as the event wore on. Sitting at the side of the stage here though were the unfortunate Stefan Stoof and Joris Arad, with Stefan working with his mechanics to fix the car, while Joris explained to us what they were doing.
Normally we are going to fix it here now,
Yes.
and here we are going to take a restart tomorrow morning. Yeah.
And with the stub axle replaced, the crew were all set for the following day's action.
Tomorrow, so I'm gonna restart, and I'm gonna try to kick David his ass.
And there they were, running as quickly as ever at the front, with Stokes chasing them down on the double loop at the top of the Todds stage. And maybe the sight of Stoof ahead of him really fired Stokes up, as he took the fastest time overall on this stage. In Category 3, with just an 8-second lead overnight, Thomas Davies might have been feeling under a bit of pressure, but a time 7 seconds faster than Rob Smith and Langford Lodge gave him a 15-second lead as they started Tardree. And then this happened. The fan belt had come off, and the 2.5 minutes that Smith and O'Gorman lost here put paid to any chance of the rally victory. Which was all good news for the flying Conor Corkle, as this now meant that he was in 2nd place, and the fastest Category 3 time here on Tardree consolidated that position. And this let Alan Walker back up to 4th, and still really going well, with a time just over a second off the fastest time here on Tardree. And Tim Pearcey and Neil Shanks were next along, but where this crew are usually matching Walker and Rogers' times on gravel, there were no match for them here on the tarmac of Ulster. In Category 1, Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride had started day 2 with an almost 4-minute lead, and there was no let-up in Desi's pace. Behind them, it was still Derek and Roisin Boyd in second place, but both they and Ricky Profit were given a notional time on Langford Lodge when they were delayed by the sight of Richard Morgan's Porsche 914 embedded underneath a telegraph pole.
Dear, what do we do now? Oh.
He's on rally track.
In category 3 and over stages 9 and 10, the pace at the front had not let up at all, with Rob Smith working his frustration out by taking 2 fastest stage times on the trot and being 17 seconds quicker than his nearest rival, Conor Corkill. But Thomas Davis was holding on to his lead and soaking up the pressure well. And he was just about matching Corkill's time, which is all he needed to do really, with Rob Smith being so far back now. And also showing well again were Alan Walker and Jez Rogers. In category 2, David Stokes and Guy Weaver were still dominating, and their nearest challenger Rupert Lomax was just about to go out with engine failure. There's little doubt that the only luck Lomax has had this year has been bad. He must have broken a lot of mirrors last winter. As for Nutt and McBride, their rally couldn't be going any better, but Geraldine was still a bit worried about Desi's pace.
A lot of gravel.
It seems to be more gravel since the wrecking.
Yeah.
Flat crest 80, so no chances, okay? Flat crest 80.
While in Derek Boyd's car, Roisin was putting her own interpretation on their pace notes.
Into 4 left over bump. 40. Turn hairpin left. I'm telling Mummy. 80.
No, don't do that. Only take the keys.
Caution, big jump, 80.
But in a class of their own on this particular event were Desi Nutt and Geraldine McBride, who eventually took victory by 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And Desi was understandably delighted at the end.
Very pleased, yes. We worked very hard and we made a conscious effort, I think, that we were going to attack on day 1, and that worked well for us, and we really pushed very hard and built up the lead that made today a lot easier.
In category 2, despite their uninvited visit to somebody else's tea party, John Spears and Susan Needham won C4 in their Porsche 911. And Andrew Siddle and Carl Williamson took an easy class victory and second overall of the registered runners. But easy and undisputed winners to put their 2011 title right back on track were David Stokes and Guy Weaver.
Day has been good because we could have still won the rally and not won today, which for the points of the championship is, you know, very important. So we've won the day. I don't know by how much, but a fair bit.
And the winners of D4 and third overall were Rob Smith and Sean O'Gorman. And who knows what might have happened if they hadn't had that fan belt problem on stage 8. Leaving just the first and second place drivers to mention. And these were 2 of the youngest drivers in the championship. In second was Conor Corkill, 1 position worse than last year, but who could complain about second place? But the winner, despite having a car that had a hole in the exhaust manifold for the last 3 stages and sounded absolutely terrible, was Thomas Davis, who along with co-driver Ulrich Davis had driven an absolutely perfect rally, pressured right from the beginning, and yet had never been outside the top 4 on any single stage. This truly was a performance to be proud of.
You go into most events hoping that you can win it, but you know, it's just nice just to finally do it.
You were in the lead after 3 stages, and from then the pressure was on you all the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been close, you know, well, all day yesterday then and again today. So it's just, you know, finding the balance, how hard to push and you know, keeping it safe where you need to and pushing where you've got to. This coverage of the British Historic Rally Championship is brought to you by autosessif.com, Skipton Ford, the Todds Porsche Challenge, Sherwood Engines, XS Racing and West Wales Rally Spares.